So I welcome you all, my viewers. Today we have Saumya Soni with us for today's special conversation section with me. She's joining us from America, and she's a high school student. She founded her own artificial intelligence for environment, a non-profit organization. She has launched her app and she's working closely with it. And also not to miss to tell that she is one with beauty with brains. Why I'm saying that? Because she was entitled with Miss Teen Washington 2020. So here I welcome you, Saumya. Saumya, could you just tell me about yourself more?
Hi, Suruchi. Thank you so much for having me on your show. And I'm so excited to be here.
It's a
Hi,
pleasure, Saumya, likewise.
thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Saumya, and I am a high school student. I live in Seattle. And along with being a high school senior, I am also the CEO and founder of a nonprofit called Artificial Intelligence for Environment. And the reason I created this nonprofit is because I've always been passionate about helping the environment in some way and maximizing my positive impact on the environment. And I also have always been fascinated by artificial intelligence and the potential it has to revolutionize the world. And I'm also really close to my Indian heritage. I have a senior diploma in Hindustani classical music. And yeah, as Suruchi said, I am Miss India Washington. And I also love exploring the world around me. I have been to 31 countries, and it's just so amazing to see the different diversity and culture of the world.
You know, it's a global problem. It's not only here in India that the farmers are facing, and agriculture faces a lot of problem tremendously. It's also globally. So how did you got into collaboration with Microsoft? How did it all got evolved? If you could talk more about it to our viewers.
Sure. Okay, I will start by showing the website, aiforenvironment.org. So here is the website of this nonprofit where you can receive all the links for all the past shows and events in the past, along with other projects I'm working with and collaborators. Now, let me talk about the Farmbeat story and how it all started. I first got data from the past from about 25 farmers in India and 2,000 rows of data, which had data about soil tests, weather info, etc. And then I built a model according to that data. So 6 months ago, I started collaborating with the nonprofit JANDHARA24 and a progressive farmer named Premnathji. And Premnathji showed me his land plot, which is shown here. And we have been collecting data from there ever since. So here's the land plot in Jharkhand, India. And we've also collected raw data on different weather and soil properties, such as nitrogen levels, phosphorus levels, potassium, temperature, humidity, soil moisture, etc. And in this dashboard, you can see it's divided into 3 columns: historical, Farmbeats analytics, real-time, and predictive. Let me start with the historical. These are all the trends observed in this land plot over the past. To see all the data about and properties in this land plot. Now, based on this historical Farmbeats data, along with data being collected in real time, we can use this data and predict what the best suitable crop is to grow based on these parameters. And therefore, we can see that based on the model that I created, and based on all these properties, such as a pH value of 6.5, nitrogen value of 109, the best suitable crop, which would increase food yield and farm productivity, would be watermelon. And the second would be mango, and third is corn. So now let me go behind the scenes and show you the Azure model in the Azure website. As we can see here, I started with my data set, and this had all the raw data for, as you can see, 2,000 rows of just the soil properties. And from here, I split the data where 90% of it was used for training and 10% was for testing. After training it using logistic regression, I scored the model to see how accurate it would predict. Now, I wanted to keep testing my model to see how well it would predict the best suitable crop for that location. So I started inputting these variables for the environment, and I wanted to see what crop recommendations it would say based on these variables. And as we can see, the best suitable crop for this environment is watermelon.
So Saumya, you've told me all the insight now. So I want to come back to how does this application work, and how do we go about it? If you can just tell us more insight and more deeply about the application so that it becomes more easy for the viewers also to download and for the further use.
Okay, now it's time for the exciting part. I'm going to give a demo of this AI for Smart Farms app to show how farmers can use this app to increase farm productivity. So let's start now. After inputting your credentials, we can log in. And the first thing we can do is add our farm. Now we can click Add Farm over here and input the location of your farm. So as we allowed access to our location, we can just click 4 points for drawing our farm. And after giving the name, where it's located, size in acres, and source of irrigation, we can start inputting values for the soil properties. So as you can see, I already have the values inputted here. After you input these and show the result, we can see that based on all these soil properties, the best suitable crop to be grown here to maximize food yield and farm productivity is cotton, maize, and watermelon. So now let me show you Premnathji's land plot and show you a similar example. We can click here, by the way, which is exciting, to see the satellite images of this land plot. And along with giving the satellite image versus a rough sketch, it also gives you the water index and vegetation index. And this is really helpful because it shows which places in the land plot are deprived of water and need more water in order to increase farm productivity. So as we can see here in the water index, the areas which show more red values are deprived of water and need to be watered more. And the areas which are closer to yellow or green are pretty much well hydrated. Now, same goes for the vegetation index. We can see how green each part of the farm plot is, and therefore make up for the spots which need more water. Okay, now let's show the result for these values. As we can see, for Premnathji's plot and the values he inputted, the best suitable crops are wheat, watermelon, and moth beans. So as you can see, this app can really help increase food yield and farm productivity and help ensure that crops' healths are improved while also saving the environment by utilizing minimum resources. Imagine what you can do with your farm and this app.
So Saumya, you told me about how exactly this application works. It looks so insightful, so informative that you have made, and it's really proper bifurcated application. Even if somebody who's not working closely with the farmers and who are the newcomers, this will be a big help, and it looks so wonderful. Congratulations on that. So Saumya, a very important thing whenever we dream the wings are only given by, when we get a head up from our family and our parents. How was your family, how your father and mother reacted when you told them about this is what you're dreaming, and then you told about agriculture? How was their reaction and how was their support towards you and making this dream come true to yourself?
Yeah, so I've actually been interested in the environment way before AI. So I would tell my parents I would be really advocate for environmental change. And
Right.
I'm actually really glad about my parents' reaction. They actually introduced me to AI.
Wow.
They told me about the potential it has to help the environment. And from then I realized, oh, AI is the key. So I
Right.
started more about AI, the way ways it can help the environment. And that's the reason I actually created this nonprofit AI for Environment. So I'm
Lovely.
actually really glad for the positive.
So, Soumya, you said that you were inspired with Dr. Lucas and Dr. Ranveer, who have been closely working with AI, with Microsoft, and we all are aware about his webinar and the way they have been approaching to for the society and for the country. So, Soumya, could you tell me more about your collaboration and journey with them? How did it all begin to ask you for?
Yes. So about a year ago, I was really inspired by Microsoft's AI for Earth program by Dr. Lucas Joppa, as well as the Azure Farmbeats initiative led by Dr. Ranveer Chandra. And so I did more research. I learned more about the environment, sustainability, and AI. I took courses at, Stanford University and other schools. And from all of this knowledge that I gained, all of this outreach I did, I then created the nonprofit. And that's how I started with my collaboration. The origin of this project is the reason I started this is because India has always been close to my heart. And it was at a time when I would see in the news that there were so many farmers protests, so many
Right.
farmers, unfortunately, they were not receiving the enough crops for the effort they
Right.
were farming. So I
Yeah.
wanted to make a change because, yeah, obviously we need to increase food production in the future as well. So that really inspired me to reach out. And so I reached out to JANDHARA24, which is a non-profit, and the CEO there is Sanjay Singh Ji. So I reached out to him and the Microsoft Azure Farmbeats team, along with a few farmers in Jharkhand, India, like Prem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
From then, I just used the Farmbeats innovative technology to collect data and then created the AI model with the help of my volunteers.
So, Soumya, I want to ask you about your first-hand experience working with the farmers. You were working for them, and when you started working, actually, how does you feel? And what were the challenges that you were going through when you started with the actual application with the farmers?
Yes, so I did face several challenges. The main one being I'm in the US, the farmers and Jan Dragon Kendra, everyone they're in India. So the difference in time zone was a big hurdle to overcome. And like obviously we could only communicate through virtual meetings. So
Right. Right.
we kept in sync through those virtual meetings. Everything had to be up to date. It did take time, therefore. And instead of being in person, another
Yeah.
challenge I faced was balancing my study life and, this nonprofit work. There was
Of
a
course.
point
Of course.
I was getting so invested in this project that I was spending too much time on it. And like other
Right.
parts, other aspects of my life were suffering. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, finding that balance, this has been a great learning opportunity, by the way, finding that balance between, of course, attending to my studies, also having fun with the nonprofit, doing great
Yeah.
change. And yeah,
Yeah.
just being an individual who's growing. So yeah. Started this project in the beginning of 2021. So I initially had the vision to come to India in the summer and see the progress that's been made on the farms. But
Right.
unfortunately, COVID hit, and yeah, so
I
I'll
know,
have
I know.
to later.
So Soumya, the interesting part, when we started the interview, you also mentioned that you sing beautifully. Why don't you sing a line for us while we conclude the show?
Okay, I will sing one of my favorite Bollywood songs till date. It's called
Oh, lovely.
आओगे जब तुम साजना अंगना फूल खिलेंगे बरसेगा सावन बरसेगा सावन झूम झूम के दो दिल ऐसे मिलेंगे पानी सारे मामा गा 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 सानी निरे गा निधा निरे नि मधनी धा धनी रे पापा मा मधा धा मरे मागा अंगना फूल खिलेंगे.
Wow, that was beautiful and so soulful.
Thank you, Soumya, for coming on the show and joining us. And I'm sure it will not only help people to understand, but it will help them actually on their ground reality to come, considering agriculture and considering all the situation that in India farmers are facing. And it's going to be a great, great help. I'm sure that kids, the people like you come up more for the country, for the nation, globally, and help us not only in the field of agriculture but also in this fields. It was wonderful talking to you on my show. Thank you so much. So you seen in the show earlier in the segment that I was talking with Saumya Soni, who's a founder for AI for Environment, and she's working close with her application of Farmbeats. So today we have Mr. Sanjay Singh. He's a secretary for JANDHARA24 from Jharkhand. He's working very closely with the farmers for many years now. He needs no introduction. Sanjay ji, welcome on the show with me. And Sanjay ji, please tell our viewers about yourself and about your work.
Thank you, Suruchi, and thanks for having me in your show. I am Sanjay Singh, working in technology field from last 10 years, and I am associated with JANDHARA24 from 2013 as a secretary. I am helping them with their different projects in agriculture field. We started partnering with Saumya from AI for Environment. It's a non-profit organization from USA. 8 months ago, we started partnering with her. JJK member and I, along with many progressive farmers, also attend online event organized by AI for Environment. It's a great that Dr. Ranveer Chandra, the man behind Farmbeats, who was one of the speakers in that event. It's really a great curiosity. It was interesting to see how farmers started talking about AI for farming, even if they did not understand fully the technology. It's really a great thing. After using AI for a smart farm app, with the technology that AI for Environment enabled, we started working with our progressive farmer. One of the example was Premnath here in Jharkhand, India. We choose 2 farms owned of Premnath as pilot site for the Farmbeats project. That was phase 1. After that, Saumya asked for more data. We got soil test data from 25 other farmers. Saumya and her team got satellite and weather data, and then they created the model and the phone app that we will see today. We also introduced Saumya to agronomists and soil scientists associated with the project.
So Sanjay ji, you mentioned about your collaboration with Saumya and with the application, and how you closely working with it, and you also mentioned about Premnath, and for telling us so much and for about your collaboration. Thank you so much for coming on my show and talking about how actually this application helped you in collaboration with Saumya Soni and her team. And I hope it's not only benefits somebody like Premnath, but globally also a lot of other farmers, and they share their experiences. Thank you, Sanjay ji, again for coming to the show and joining us and giving the first-hand information about the usage of the application and how practically it really helped everyone. Thank you. So after having Mr. Sanjit Singh as a secretary from Janjagran Kendra, he mentioned about Premnath, who is a farmer and who is intensively and exclusively using this application very closely, and he has a farmland to himself. I welcome Mr. Premnath on my show. प्रेमनाथ जी, मैं आपका बहुत सारा स्वागत करती हूँ. प्रेमनाथ जी एक फार्मर है जो झारखंड में स्थित है और उनके बहुत सारे फार्म्स हैं और लैंड है जहाँ पर वो सौम्या सोनी का जो एप्लीकेशन है उसका इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं. प्रेमनाथ जी, क्या आप बताएंगे हमें किस तरह से आप उसका इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं और आपको क्या सुविधाएं हुई हैं उससे?
जी, पहले जो इस ऐप के माध्यम से हमें बहुत सारी जानकारियां मिला है. जैसे हमारा पहले होता था क्या, जैसे ये मौसम के जो मार किसान को मिलता है वो बहुत श्राप के बराबर है. मौसम के मार से किसान बच नहीं पाता था. तो आज ये हो रहा है कि आप लोग के ऐप के माध्यम से हमें बहुत सहयोग मिला है. जैसे हमने अपना माध्यम से कभी कुछ क्रॉप लगाते थे जो हमें अपना अच्छा लगता था, तो हमारा सिलेक्शन उतना बेटर नहीं हो पाता था. तो आप लोग का ऐप से जब हम जुड़े तो हमें ये भी सिलेक्शन मिला है कि हमारे प्लॉट में स्ट्रॉबेरी सब फल तैयार होगा. हमने वो लगाया, वो भी हमारा अच्छा क्वालिटी में सक्सेस है, अभी तक बहुत बेटर है. और हमने फ्लावर भी लगाया और इस तरह से हमारे जो पहले लगाते थे उससे डिफरेंस फसल भी हम करना शुरू किए जो हमारे लिए पहले से बेटर है. इससे पहले भी हम नए टेक्नोलॉजी अपना प्लॉट में यूज कर रहे हैं. जैसे ड्रिप इरिगेशन हो गया, मल्चिंग सिस्टम हो गया, स्प्रिंकलर हो गया, जो हम 5-6 साल से अपना प्लॉट में यूज कर रहे हैं. वो हम अपना प्लॉट में जैसे सक्सेस होते जा रहा है, लोग को वो टेक्नोलॉजी हम बहुत लोग को जानकारी दे रहे हैं और यूज करवा रहे हैं अपने साथ में. ये टेक्नोलॉजी हमारा प्लॉट में भी प्रैक्टिकल हो रहा है जो अभी तक सक्सेस है. जैसे हमारा फुल्ली सक्सेस हम हो जाएंगे, लोगों को भी सिखाएंगे, हमें बेनिफिट होगा. जैसे हम कभी सोचे नहीं थे कि हमारा प्लॉट में स्ट्रॉबेरी सब फल होगा, तो इस ऐप के माध्यम से हमारा वो सक्सेस हो रहा है. और बहुत सारा जानकारियां जो कहीं उपलब्ध नहीं पाता था, सैटेलाइट के माध्यम से हमें वो जानकारियां मिल रही है. तो कहीं ना कहीं हमारे लिए, हर किसान के लिए वरदान है. जैसे हम समझ रहे हैं, हमारा रिजल्ट आ रहा है, बाकी किसान को भी हम समझाएंगे, वो लोग भी हमारे पास आते जाते रहते हैं. तो ये है कि खुद किसान भी हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, बाकी लोग हम और जोड़ रहे हैं ताकि हमारा बेनिफिट दे करके लोग खुद भी हमारे साथ जुड़े और ये जानकारी उनके तक भी हम ये पहुंचाने का काम कर रहे हैं.
जी, मैं एक आपसे आखिरी सवाल पूछना चाहती हूँ. आपके अनुसार अन्य किसानों को तकनीकी का उपयोग शुरू करने के लिए किस तरह से एआई फार्मिंग जिस तरह के जो ऐप होते हैं, जो टेक्नोलॉजी ऐप होते हैं, वो किस तरह से कारगर साबित होते हैं, अगर आप हमें बताना चाहें तो?
देखिए, समय के अनुसार अगर हर एरिया में टेक्नोलॉजी बढ़ते जा रहा है और उस अनुसार हम लोग एग्रीकल्चर में टेक्नोलॉजी ना बढ़ाएं तो फिर एग्रीकल्चर वहीं स्थिर रह जाएगा. इसलिए बाकी एरिया की अपेक्षा टेक्नोलॉजी कृषि में कम आया, फिर भी लोग उतना टेक्नोलॉजी यूज नहीं कर रहे हैं, जिस कारण से कृषि हमारा बहुत पहले ही होता था कि आज से 40 से 50 साल पहले हमारे पास खाने के लिए अनाज नहीं होता था. जो हमारे पास हरित क्रांति आया, नया टेक्नोलॉजी खाद जो आया था, वो तो हमारे देश के लिए हरित क्रांति हुआ. तो उससे हमारा क्या हुआ, हमारे देश में खाने के लिए अनाज मिला. किसान का जो मौसम का मार मिलता था वो मार होता ही रहा, उसके लिए कोई बचाव का ऑप्शन नहीं था. उसका यही पहला ही फर्स्ट एंड लास्ट भी ऑप्शन है नए टेक्नोलॉजी से कि आने वाले टाइम में मान लीजिए हमारा कब मौसम खराब होगा, कब वर्षा होगा, उससे हम पहले सतर्क रहेंगे. तो ये टेक्नोलॉजी क्या होगा, हमारा फसल में जो होने वाला नुकसान है उससे पहले कौन सा दवा देना चाहिए से पता चला. हमें परसों पानी पड़ने वाला है हमारा प्लॉट पास, तो उससे बचाव के लिए कौन सा फंगिसाइड पेस्टिसाइड हम यूज करें तो हमारा फसल वर्षा से खराब ना हो. तो ऐसे यूज कर रहे हैं तो हमारा फसल खराब होने से बच जा रहा है.
Thank you, Premnath ji, for showing and telling us exactly how this application has helped you in a lot of ways, not only by cutting on your finances, but also helping you for a better growth, for growing your farm with new technology and with collaboration. प्रेमनाथ जी, मैं आपको बहुत सारी शुभकामनाएं देती हूँ कि इसी तरीके से इस तरह के एप्लीकेशन सिर्फ आपके साथ ही नहीं बल्कि आपके फार्मर्स और भी भाइयों के लिए ये तकनीक जो है, जो सौम्या सोनी की पहल है जिसमें संजय जी आपके साथ हैं, जुड़े हुए हैं, वो आपके लिए ही कारगर नहीं हो बल्कि आने वाले भविष्य के लिए भी ये कारगर हो. धन्यवाद, आप हमारे शो में आए, आपने बातचीत करी. आई थैंक यू सिंसियरली प्रेमनाथ जी फॉर कमिंग ऑन द शो एंड टॉकिंग अबाउट everything and about your first hand experience, about what challenges you were facing, how it really helped, and how it really helped you also financially to overcome to the problems. So I'm winding up the show. Thank you everyone for joining me and telling their first perspective, right from how the idea came, then how the application was launched, how everyone collaborated and worked, and how it actually got with Premnath, who is actually a farmer and working so closely with it. This was a special show that I was hosting today, having everyone. I hope to see you again in future with some more other personalities like this. Signing off for now, Suruchi here from JANDHARA24.